Week one of the NFL is in the books, and it was a wild weekend. We had some upsets, we had almost multiple ties. It was just nuts. So let's go ahead and overreact to week one of the NFL by doing a 2023 NFL mock draft. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful, intimate football discourse. I got this draft order by basically taking week one and projecting what will happen the rest of the year. So I lowballed some teams, I highballed some teams. Again, this is a bit of an overreaction to week one and a bit of a reaction to week two in college football from what we've seen thus far. By the way, if you love college football, tomorrow I'm doing the stock report, taking a look at which prospect stocks are up and stocks are down. Check that out. We'll be doing a watch along for the Texas A&M Miami game this Saturday. I'm a huge Hurricanes fan. Do you, baby? So come join us for that. Let's go ahead. Let's get into this sucker, starting with the Seattle Seahawks at number one. I know, big win against Broncos. I just don't think they'll be able to sustain that type of momentum, but they're going Bryce Young. It's kind of a no-brainer. The quarterback of the future is not on that roster. So they take, in my opinion, literally the best quarterback prospect in this class, best prospect in this class. I mean, we just saw how this cat had to carry the dead carcass of the Crimson Tide to get a win past Texas. So I'm a big Bryce Young guy. The Atlanta Falcons, another team that kind of squandered a lead and let the Saints come back and win late. I took CJ Stroud. I know they got Desmond Ridder. Maybe they'll look better down the stretch or when Ridder gets opportunity to play. But again, we don't know that. He's a third-round pick at the end of the day. If you're picking this early, let's go ahead. Let's take our quarterback of the future in CJ Stroud. I thought Stroud's been all right to start the season. He's got ideal size. He's got ideal arm talent. The dude's just really, really good. The Chicago Bears, a team that got a win in a very sloppy victory because of the rain against the Niners. I got a lot of questions about that Chicago team, but we're going to go ahead and take Jalen Carter. I think that they'll probably go in a direction of, listen, is there a tackle worthy of this spot? Really, as of right now, it's kind of hard to say. The Penn State cat, the redshirt sophomore, looks really good. Broderick Jones has been really good for Georgia to start the season, but no one's touching Jalen Carter as of now. They got Matt Eberflus. He's a defensive-minded coach, so they go with the defense here on the interior because it looks like they got a lot of talent in that secondary, and especially the edge spot, man. Dominique Robinson had a really good game this past week. Now we have the New York Football Jets. They'll get Zach Wilson back in a few weeks. And I just don't imagine this team, at least they might be competitive in a few games here and there, but I think they'll probably end up a top 5, a top 10 team in terms of where they'll be picking. And we know the offensive line has a ton of struggles. As a matter of fact, this past weekend, the offensive line was a huge liability for Joe Flacco. So we're going to go ahead and grab the tackle of the future there because Mekhi Becton, I don't want to say the jury's out on him, but it's kind of like you want that dude to stay healthy. We haven't really seen him since his rookie season, so it's kind of rough. I went with Broderick Jones. I currently think he's the best tackle prospect in this class right now, and I think that's really showing. I mean, he just was amazing against Oregon, and the dude's just got ideal everything. Now, let's go to number 5, the New England Patriots. I got them taking Will Anderson, and yeah, the Patriots, Mac Jones, hey, he probably back this week, but still, that's not a good Patriots team, and I think likely they're going to have a high draft pick. And I'm going Will Anderson. Will Anderson had a bit of a weird week there at Texas where he had 3 pressures. He had a sack, to be fair. That was kind of because I think it was Bijan Robinson tripped over the quarterback's leg and failed to protect Will Anderson. But Will Anderson had a ton of penalties. He had a ton of missed tackles. So this is a bit of an overreaction to like, oh, maybe he's not like the top defensive prospect in this class, but I still think he's pretty darn good, and the Patriots would welcome more pass rush help, though Wise looked really good this past week, but still maybe get a little more help outside on the outside there with Matt Judon. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars taking a tough loss to Washington Commanders, but part of that team looked pretty good. However, I think they still need offensive line help, and I'm going Peter Skoronski here, especially considering with Peter Skoronski, I'm listing him here as an offensive lineman. There's going to be questions about his lack of length, and it's not like he's the athlete that Rashawn Slater or Penei Sewell were, who were guys who also had that sub 33-inch arm length. So maybe not an ideal tackle spot, but I'm still willing to give this guy a shot at tackle. And the best part is he could play literally all over the offensive line, guard, center, and the Jags really do need help really everywhere on that offensive line. Just saying. On to the Arizona Cardinals. Never really were they in that game against the Chiefs. And I just think that Cardinals team it's not a great team. So on one hand, I got Keely Ringo, the cornerback out of Georgia. The dude's phenomenal for me. He is the top corner, and it's not that close. So there's a couple of guys that are saying, hey, not so fast, my friend. But the cornerback room is just, there's not a lot of talent there. They need to add more talent, more competition. Cornerback's such a volatile position in the NFL. It's so important to have a lot of good players there at the corner position. So they add the top corner in this class. And then the New York Football Giants with a huge win against the Titans, but I don't know how long they'll be able to sustain that because I don't have a lot of faith in Daniel Jones. So I have them going with AR-15. Listen, he's not Josh Allen. He's not Cam Newton. But the dude's got a big arm. He's an unbelievable athlete. Yes, he needs a little bit more polish as a passer. Needs to work more inside a structure. But you know it's all there. And Brian Daboll, a guy who just came from developing a Josh Allen's like, you know what? We don't have the guy on a roster. This can be the guy. So they grab AR-15. On number 9, the Carolina Panthers are taking Myles Murphy. Listen, Baker didn't look terrible. Baker looked all right. Maybe they go another year. I'm pretty sure the coaching staff's probably going to get washed after this year. But Brian Burns looked good, but there was no pass rush opposite of him this past week. So grabbing Myles Murphy, guy who's just a physical specimen that just oozes tools. I like this pick. I think it's good for them. On to the Steelers. Listen, the offensive line didn't have a terrible showing, but I think it get better mainly at the left guard or left tackle position. So I'm taking Paris Johnson here. I'm not a big Dan Moore guy, though I think he's actually better than expected in pass protection. But still, you get a chance here to take a highly sought out, highly recruited, just a highly regarded prospect here over your, what was Dan Moore, like a 4th rounder. So you get a chance to improve at a position that's extremely important to the offense, especially important to a team that wants to run the ball. I think Johnson would be a good fit here. On top of that, might be the best person in this draft. Great human being. The Houston Texans. I have them getting Brian Brazee out of Clemson. This cat's had a hot start to the year. I'm a big fan. They could use some more talent on that defensive line in general. Keep in mind they kind of just gave away Ross Blacklock. So they grab Brazee here, who will be a very good addition to that defensive line. On to the Washington football team. I have them going Joey Porter Jr. This is a bit of an overreaction on my part, but he's got ideal size, length. The dude is a great athlete. He can play press. He's mainly plays actually off coverage there for Penn State. But I think the NFL is going to look at that and they're going to really like what he has going on. Again, strong start to the season for him. I think he already has like 6 pass breakups in coverage, with 5 of them coming against Purdue, where they tried to target him heavily. So Joey Porter, you're going to see a lot of hype for this cat. Washington, I think they're going to probably just totally scrub the whole coaching staff, bring in a new coaching staff, maybe a team that wants to play a bit more, maybe press coverage, which I think would be ideal for like a guy like William Jackson. So they grab his counterpart here. Not saying I'm giving up on guys like Kendall Fuller or was it Benjamin St. Jude, but hey, you get a chance in the first round to address a position that's just very volatile to begin with. Just keep adding more talent to it. And to be fair, that Washington team, I don't think has a ton of like huge holes. They do have holes here and there, linebacker, spots on the offensive line, maybe quarterback, but for the most part, I think that's a team they got a good unit moving forward. On to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think this is a pick via the Saints. I'm going Jared Verse, and if you don't know the name, then watch more of my content, because I've been talking a lot about Jared Verse. This cat's had a hot start to the college football season, where in that LSU game, he was unblockable. Whether it was in a three-point stance or whether he was standing up, he's a phenomenal athlete, former Albany transfer. Like, this is probably going to be too high for him. He's probably going to go in that, like, there's a chance he's probably like a day 2 guy. Well, actually, he better be a day 2 guy. But if he continues this production, he should emerge as a first-round talent for an Eagles team that honestly could probably do a little bit to sweeten the pot there at edge rusher, as Reddick didn't have a great day. You got Brandon Graham, who's just a bit long in the tooth. Derek Barnett, I don't think has a future in Philly after this season. But Sweat's pretty good. So grabbing Verse, you're getting more talent there at the pass rush position. The Dallas Cowboys, Dak's out 6 to 8 weeks. And honestly, I feel like I kind of highballed y'all at this point, but y'all picking 14, and I actually went with Jackson Smith, Njigba, and this might be curious, like, oh, we have CD Lamb in the slot. Listen, I think CD can play on the outside. I think he could do either or. You got Michael Gallup. Why not get probably one of the best receivers in terms of production in this class? Like, JSN could be a phenomenal slot. That offense was just really lacking, and honestly, it wasn't a big part because of the offensive line. It was really the passing game. Just couldn't get moving, couldn't get going. Nothing they were doing was working. I think they just need more talent at receiver at this point. They gave away Amari Cooper for nickels and dimes. So I went with JSN. I think it's going to be interesting to see who the top wide receiver is, because I think there's a few guys that could put their hat into the ring there. Now back with the Houston Texans pick, and I think this one's via the Browns. And I went with Trenton Simpson. I'm going to call him Trent for short. Can I call you Trent for short? But that linebacker position's horrid for the Texans. They could go ahead and grab the top linebacker in this class. I love this guy's movement skills. I love what he can do out in space. He offers a plus skill set in coverage. And he's not that bad of a pass rusher. You could use him for a variety of different things. So yeah, they go ahead and grab Simpson here to pair up with Brazee. Tennessee Titans, rough starts of the year, but let me tell you, man, in goal line positions, as a fantasy owner of Derrick Henry, let him run the dang ball. Why is Hilliard getting 2 touchdowns off like 5 carries? That's all I'm saying. But I got the Tennessee Titans going with Gervin Dexter. I really wanted to go with the best player available. I thought the offensive line was kind of fine this week. I could have added more punch at receiver. That was definitely an option. But I looked at the defense and I said, you know what? I think at least the interior, getting a guy that can play the nose, that can kick out and really play anywhere along the defensive line would kind of come in clutch. Because I mean, they already have a very versatile piece in Danico Autry, so just adding to that and Gervin Dexter, I think is huge. This cat's been great to start the year, and it's been against good competition: Utah, Kentucky. So yeah, he's definitely saying, hey, don't sleep on me. I'm a legit prospect among this really good defensive interior class. On to the Las Vegas Raiders. I got them going Jordan Addison. I think Addison's been the best receiver in college football thus far, and he's doing it on the outside. He's quelling a few of my concerns that I had about Addison going into the season, but there's no denying this guy's speed is unreal. The way he can separate. Can you imagine pairing that along with DeAndre or Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller? I know offensive line, it needs to be addressed. For me, there's not a prospect right here that I'm willing to I feel like it would be a bit of a reach right now. So I went with honestly the best player available, and Addison. There's a great case that Addison could be the top receiver in this class. Miami Dolphins, fins up, baby. They forfeited their pick because they do shady stuff. Can I say? But Detroit Lions, that's right. I have projected the Lions to be doing mighty fine this year. I went with Andre Carter II. They need more pass rush, and here you get a bit of a developmental guy, a guy that needs to get in an NFL weight room, put on some mass, but he's been uber productive for Army. There's going to be questions about how will going to the NFL, how will that get in the way of his service? Though we've seen it work in the past with other draft prospects that weren't nearly drafted this high. What was it, Malcolm Reynolds? Ended up being able to put off his service and being able to work a part-time role there in the Navy. So Andre Carter, I don't know if I'm too scared about that when it comes to him, but a guy with freaky length, freaky movement skills. Yeah. Let's get more pass rush. Pairing him next to Aiden Hutchinson. Watch out. Indianapolis Colts. Let's go ahead and get the quarterback of the future, Tanner McKee. I thought Tanner McKee has looked very good to start the season. Yeah, there were a few turnover-worthy moments for him, but for the most part, this is a guy that is functioning very well in an offense that really doesn't have a ton of talent. By the way, the Colts, I'm sure they would love to get their hands on another Stanford quarterback prospect. On to 21, we got the Eagles going Bijan Robinson. I just couldn't stop myself. I don't know what it was. I couldn't. Listen, Miles Sanders is a free agent after this season. You shouldn't be re-signing running backs unless you're doing it for a low cost. Go ahead, grab the top running back in this class to pair up with Kenneth Gainwell. This is scary, especially behind that great offensive line. Hey, we're back to the Dolphins. This is via the 49ers pick. Thank you, 49ers. Now the Dolphins at least get one pick in the first round here. And they're going to go ahead and take Jaquelin Roy. The Dolphins could use a little bit more spice, a little bit more explosiveness, a little bit more electricity on that interior. Christian Wilkins is fine, but outside of that, it's meh. Roy's had a hot start to the year for LSU. He has been very disruptive, and keep in mind, he lost his running mate there in Mason Smith, who might also be a first rounder in 2024. So grabbing Roy, I'm telling you, this defensive interior class is really good at the top. There's a lot of guys that are hey, don't sleep on me. Cincinnati Bengals, I went ahead and took Michael Mayer. Hayden Hurst is on a 1-year deal, so I'm thinking let's go ahead and grab another tight end prospect. It was kind of tough to draft for this team because there's not a lot of holes on the roster. Could have went edge here. Thought that was definitely a spot I could have probably done, but I thought Michael Mayer was probably the best prospect currently on the board. And straight up, he's not an amazing athlete for the tight end position. He's a guy that consistently moves the chains. He's one of the best blockers in this tight end class, and he's just a very good prospect. And at 24, I'm grabbing Cam Smith. Grabbing more cornerback help for the Ravens. Marcus Peters is a free agent at the end of the season. They were starting Brandon Stevens there on the outside this past week, and I think they can do better, at least grab more competition. Cam Smith, this is great value for Cam Smith. Honestly, he's probably, at this point for me, around a top 20, at the very least, top 25 prospect, but I thought he could have went earlier, but they get him here. At 25, Quentin Johnston going to the Vikings. Adam Thielen, another guy that's a bit long in the tooth. I think Johnston is a very different animal than what they currently have at receiver. Be a great guy to pair up with the likes of Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne. So Johnston's just this massive, massive contested catch guy that actually I think does a good job of separating. At some points he might have 4.4 speed, and like he's so hard to bring down after the catch. Some of the best hands in this class as well. The Green Bay Packers, I would have loved to get Johnston. It just apparently wasn't in the cards for me. So we went with Cooper Beebe, the offensive line, man. That offensive line, it's had, obviously their best players have been hurt, but it could definitely just use more high-end talent. Like they had Jack Hansen starting this week, even Royce Newman. I think he was playing right tackle. It didn't look all that great. Cooper Beebe, a guy that's played left tackle there for Kansas State, likely is probably a guard in the NFL. But having that, at least knowing that he played exceptionally well at tackle, you could give him a shot there, or you could just go ahead and play him at guard. Just grab him. If you're not going to grab receiver help for Aaron Rodgers, at least grab offensive line help. And then the San Diego Chargers, I went with Garrett Williams out of Syracuse here. He's actually a really good scheme fit for Brandon Staley. A wonderful athlete, a guy that's already started the year quite strong. And on top of that, Asante Samuel Jr. is having a rough go with things. At least, again, I've been saying it this whole video. Cornerback is such a volatile position. So just grabbing an immense talent and just stacking that position is ideal, and they do that with Williams here. And then we got the Seattle Seahawks. Remember, they took a Bryce Young first, and we're taking Noah Sewell, grabbing more linebacker help there. They're missing Bobby Wagner. I know Brooks has been all right, but yeah, grab more talent. Noah Sewell, for all intents and purposes, man, is probably like right for right now, linebacker 2 in this class. Guy that's still like, he doesn't have great prowess as a guy in coverage, but a dude that just comes through like a freight train along the offensive line. He can make tackles in the backfield, and he thus far he has cleaned up a bit as a tackler. His missed tackles were kind of a thing, but a lot of that's more of a mentality where he just wants to layeth the boom when he could just layeth the wrap up and put down. All right, on to 29. I got Tyler Van Dyke going to the Detroit Lions. This is their pick via the Rams, and this is just great value. Tyler Van Dyke, he will have this week against Texas A&M. Will be very telling. Like, Van Dyke's been okay this season. Like, it's not like he's faced really good teams, but like, you could tell, like, okay, the decision making is not there all yet. Keep in mind, this is the first time he's truly had an offense where he actually has to go through reads. Last year it was really like he wasn't really processing the field or having to go through reads until his guys were like 10 to 15 yards down the field because it was very vertical offense. So yeah, maybe there's some learning curves, but this is a big test this week. If he passes with flying colors, then yeah, this is definitely a cat to be talked about in the first round. And Jared Goff, while parts of that game he looked all right, I still don't believe he is the future. Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to be taking Sika Ika out of Baylor. He hasn't been the pass rushing menace I expected him to be, but still he is a rare athlete for a 350 pounder, and that would be great to get on the interior. They really don't have that next to Chris Jones. So we went ahead with Ika here. On to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're grabbing Antonio Johnson, man. This just feels like great value. Johnson could probably go a bit higher, but it's kind of hard with those guys that you kind of look at as slot / safety hybrids, but a guy that has enough size to even play corner. So Tampa Bay, if they want to get things real interesting, since they're going to be losing guys like Sean Murphy-Bunting, possibly Jamil Dean this offseason, maybe grab Antonio Johnson and be like, hey, let's give him a shot at corner. Also, it's worth noting that Antoine Winfield's playing more in the slot, so maybe they grab Johnson so they get some just more depth there at safety. And then finally, the Buffalo Bills. I want Brian Branch. Absolutely love Brian Branch. I think he's a phenomenal athlete, a guy that can play in the slot, that also can play a true safety role just because of how athletic he is, and he's got a good nose for the football. As we know, the Bills, their safeties, they're up there in age, so why not start planning for the future, especially for a team that doesn't have a ton of needs. But that's it for the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Obviously, with the draft order, there's going to be some hot takes. But I think there were a lot of interesting picks here. I wanted to like really showcase some guys not being talked about, such as maybe like a Cooper BB or a Jaquilin Roy, definitely a Jared Verse. But yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. It was a fun mock draft. Let me know what you think. And as always, till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.